according to Eddie Hearn and Dillian Whyte, the WBC are planning to order Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte as a final eliminator or as a bout for the interim WBC World Heavyweight title. Something along those lines. Eddie Hearn has come out in a couple of interviews and said he doesn't think Tyson Fury will take the fight. So although Dillian Whyte is willing to fight the Gypsy King, they don't want to waste their time on pursuing something which they think will never happen. That is what Eddie Hearn is saying. And that appears to be what Dillian Whyte is saying as well, that he's happy to go ahead with a Fury fight, but he doesn't believe Tyson Fury will want it. Now, I'm going to quote Dillian Whyte here from this interview on TalkSport. He says, "I'm the can man. Whoever want it can get it. I've been trying to fight Tyson Fury for a number of years now. We've made multiple attempts and it never happened. If Fury wants to fight, he knows where I am, but I can't see the fight happening. If Tyson Fury can walk away from a rematch with Deontay Wilder for the WBC World title, why would he want to fight me for the interim title? It doesn't make sense." Then goes on to say, there's a lot of things going on with the WBC at the minute. Everyone knows I'm very angry at them and the way I've been treated. Everyone knows Deontay Wilder should have been fighting me and not Dominic Breazeale. But for some reason, the WBC insists on protecting him. It's a funny subject. I can't really say too much. A lot of these boxing authorities are very touchy. The public can see what I've done, how many WBC title fights I've had, how many times I've defended my number one position. It's crazy. I don't understand it. Now with the WBC, I think it's just delaying tactics by them. It's frustrating. It's stressful. It's a bit disheartening, to be honest. Tyson Fury could have fought Oscar Rivas. He said no. Anthony Joshua could have fought Oscar Rivas. He said no. Look who they're fighting. It just goes to show there's only one man who's willing to fight anyone. I'm not losing faith in boxing because I know this sport is just full of nastiness, man. It's part of the game. You've got to take the ups and the downs. My time will come. I just keep working. They can't hide forever. So, my thoughts on this. It is a little absurd for the WBC to keep putting all these roadblocks in Dillian Whyte's way to prevent him from fighting Deontay Wilder. It's absurd. He's been the number one contender for the WBC for donkey's years and somehow can't get his mandatory shot. It feels kind of like Alida Alvarez when he was WBC mandatory at light heavyweight and he couldn't get his shot. Although eventually he took some kind of step-aside deal because he just got so frustrated with the situation. With Dillian Whyte, look at the people he's fought in WBC-sanctioned fights. From Robert Helenius to Lucas Brown to Derek Chisora to Joseph Parker, on and on it goes. And now, after all the fights he's fought, the WBC sanctioned fights, they're throwing Tyson Fury in front of him and saying, okay, if you can get through Fury, then we'll give you a crack at Wilder. It is ridiculous because Dominic Breazeale hasn't done what Dillian Whyte has done in order to get a shot. His road has been a far less difficult road than Dillian Whyte's road. Tyson Fury hasn't done, since his comeback, what Dillian Whyte has done in order to get a title shot, okay? Tyson Fury fought Pianeta and Sefer Safiri. And to be fair, that wasn't a mandatory, but, you know, the WBC really, in my opinion and in the opinion of many others, are out of order in not giving Dillian Whyte his shot at Deontay Wilder by now. They should have mandated him. You know, they should have made it mandatory and mandated the fight between him and Wilder. With that being said, Dillian Whyte, and I've got the most amount of respect for Dillian Whyte. The guy's a warrior. The guy has turned himself into a multi-millionaire, of course with the assistance of Sky and Matchroom, but he's the one who did most of the hard work. He's turned himself into a multi-millionaire from very humble beginnings, where he started out fighting on small hall shows without a major promoter. So he's done extremely well. I've got nothing but the greatest of respect. But at the same time, when he's saying that he's the only fighter who'll fight anybody, he had the opportunity to fight Anthony Joshua. He's trying to spin this narrative as if nobody will give him a title shot. He just had an opportunity for a title shot, turned it down. That's just the fact of the matter. He says he wasn't happy with the financial split. Fair enough, you're not happy with a financial split, but it's still an opportunity to fight for a title. And if you win the first fight with AJ and the rematch with AJ, you're the man in the division. Then you can dictate terms. You can dictate what percentages everybody else gets paid to challenge for your world titles. So that does have to be said. Tyson Fury is an opponent who Dillian Whyte has been pursuing for a number of years. That is somebody that Dillian Whyte, in my opinion, would be very willing to fight. But I don't know if Tyson Fury is going to take it right now. He's got the Tom Schwartz fight, of course. And Dillian Whyte really can't take his eye off Oscar Rivas at this point. Oscar Rivas is a very dangerous guy. So hopefully Dillian is focused on Rivas. He's not thinking about Fury. He's not thinking about Wilder or any of this other stuff. Because Oscar Rivas is more than a potential banana skin. So that's my take on the situation. Again, Dillian had an opportunity to fight for a world title, decided to turn it down, has decided to try and go to and I've always felt that Dillian Whyte prefers the WBC route. Hence why he's, taken part in so many WBC sanctioned fights and he's pushing in that direction. And with regards to him turning down the Anthony Joshua fight for whatever it was, 4 million, 5 million, how much is he going to get paid as mandatory challenger for Deontay Wilder? Because don't the WBC give the mandatory something like 25%? If they're giving him 25%, how much is that fight going to gross? Maybe he'll make more than 4 million as mandatory for Wilder. Maybe not. Will Dillian Whyte sell as well in the United States as Tyson Fury sold in the United States? I suspect he won't. I suspect that Dillian Whyte versus Deontay Wilder, if it was to happen this year, I don't think it would do the numbers that Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury did. I could be wrong, but that's just my suspicion. So you could have a situation where Dillian Whyte fights Deontay Wilder for 4 million or less, if it's 25% of the overall pot. But I'm assuming he'd be happy to do that, but wouldn't be so happy to fight AJ. But to be fair, if he was fighting Deontay Wilder as mandatory challenger, there's no rematch clause. When you're mandatory, you're not obligated to give the champion an immediate rematch if you beat him. You can just sail off into the sunset, go in a completely different direction. That is one of the advantages of becoming mandatory. And on that subject, why hasn't Dillian Whyte been made mandatory for one of the other sanctioning bodies? Now, you could say he hasn't participated in eliminators for the other sanctioning bodies. Why doesn't he go that route? You see, he's constantly pursuing this WBC route. Why not go the WBO route? Why not go the WBA route? Why not go the IBF route? He did have the opportunity to fight Pulev, right, in Bulgaria in an IBF. I could understand why he pulled out, because the money was poor. He had to travel to Pulev's backyard in a Joseph Parker fight. Made a hell of a lot more money against a similar level opponent. So I can understand why he did it from a financial point of view and even from a profile point of view. The Joseph Parker fight made more sense. And again, it's an opponent who's just as tough. So I'm not saying he ducked Pulev, but he has had opportunities to pursue the mandatory position in other governing bodies. But he hasn't taken that opportunity because becoming mandatory in those other governing bodies leads to what? A rematch with Anthony Joshua. That's what it leads to. So at this point, isn't it sensible, logical for Dillian Whyte to drop the WBC route? If he gets past Oscar Rivas and they still don't want to give him a shot, isn't it sensible for him to drop that WBC route and go with the IBF or the WBA or the WBO, because he's highly ranked in all those organizations, as last I checked? Isn't it sensible for him to do that? I think it is. But I also think that it's not just about percentage splits when it comes to Dillian Whyte. It's also about the fact that he knows Anthony Joshua can beat him. I'm not saying that he doesn't believe he can win a rematch, but he knows that he could also lose a rematch. He's been on the receiving end of a knockout defeat at the hands of Anthony Joshua before. But he hasn't been beaten by a Deontay Wilder. When someone's never beaten you, there's not as much, if you're a confident individual like Dillian Whyte, there's not as much doubt in your mind that you can beat them. You understand? Whereas when a guy has knocked you out the way Anthony Joshua has, it's going to live in your mind. I don't care what nobody says. That's going to live in your mind. So I don't think it's just about money. I also think it's about the fact that Dillian Whyte sees Deontay Wilder as an easier fight than Anthony Joshua. He might say different, but I believe that that's the case. He sees Deontay Wilder as an easier fight than AJ for him. So he prefers to try and go that way and then maybe unify with AJ if he was able to get the WBC title. But the way the WBC are carrying on at the moment, they're not trying to do Matchroom no favors. They're very close to Al Heyman. They're very close to Don King. They're very close to Bob Arum to some extent, although I don't think they're as close to Bob Arum as they are to Heyman. But with Matchroom, they ain't trying to do Matchroom no favors at this point in time. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about the whole situation. Dillian Whyte, Tyson Fury. If the fight did happen, you know who I'd be picking. No disrespect again, but styles make fights. And I just think that Tyson Fury would pretty soundly defeat Dillian Whyte. That's my view. Most likely on points, I think he'd soundly defeat him. Tyson Fury has had more time now since the Deontay Wilder fight to get himself back in better condition, get himself sharp. He's going to have this little tune-up fight against Tom Schwartz, who, by the way, Tom Schwartz went the distance with some grossly overweight, obese, actually, journeyman who Fabio Wardley just bludgeoned and stopped last night. Go and have a look at that journeyman. The guy weighed like, what was it, 400 pounds or something? Something crazy like that, or 350 pounds. That guy went the distance with Tom Schwartz. And Fabio Wardley, who's just a prospect with a couple fights under his belt, he managed to dispatch the guy that Tom Schwartz went the distance with, 10 rounds. No, it's no joke. So Tyson Fury's having this little tune-up, if you can even call it that, exhibition against Tom Schwartz. After that, we'll see whether Tyson Fury wants to do the Dillian Whyte fight. If he does, it's going to be interesting to see where the fight takes place. And that's assuming Dillian Whyte decides to accept it. If Fury says, yep, let's go, let's have that final eliminator, who's to say Dillian Whyte will still go ahead and take it? Maybe he'll be looking in a different direction if he gets past Oscar Rivas. There is still some talk that the Oscar Rivas fight could be made for the interim WBC title. I believe it when I see it. Boxing's a funny old game, so you never know, but I believe it when I see it. But yeah, if Fury versus Whyte does get made, I just see it as a points decision win for the Gypsy King. Dillian Whyte, of course, is very spirited. He's got a lot of heart. He can punch. And I'm sure he has taken a lot of confidence from those sparring sessions that he had with Tyson Fury back in the days. But Tyson Fury has come on leaps and bounds since then. Dillian Whyte sparred Fury back when Fury was fighting people like Nevin Pikich. That's the version of Fury that Dillian Whyte sparred and remembers. So if he dropped that version of Fury in sparring, that's great. But that's not the version of Fury that you have today. Fury is way better now than he was back when he was fighting people like Nevin Pikich. So obviously Dillian Whyte has to take confidence from wherever he can get it from, as all fighters do. But yeah, I can't see Dillian Whyte beating Tyson Fury, you know. Maybe if he clips him on the chin with a big shot out of nowhere, you never know. But I think Tyson Fury these days is too slick and too smart I know he got caught by Deontay Wilder, but that was in the 12th round. And Deontay Wilder's a lot faster than Dillian Whyte. Way faster than Dillian Whyte. Way sharper too. Dillian Whyte is a good boxer. You know, he's very good at counter-punching, particularly with the left hook. But I just don't see him getting close enough to Tyson Fury for long enough to be able to get them big shots on and do Tyson Fury that kind of damage. See, that's another thing about Deontay Wilder. Wilder's 6'7". So the height difference between him and Fury wasn't that much. The reach difference wasn't that much. But with Dillian Whyte and Tyson Fury, the height and reach is a big difference. So that's my take on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.